afternoon, everyone. So, customer journey building is an interesting topic, and I was really stoked to be able to chat with you through it this afternoon, because as we are operating in this 2023 environment, which is quite a bit different than the environment we operated at in 2020, 2021, and 2022, the interesting part to me about building a customer journey is how you can continue to eke out value in an environment wherein it may be more challenging than it has been in the past couple of years to generate fresh new leads. There is a veritable gold mine in our existing databases, and if we can handle those customers with the kid gloves that they deserve, then ultimately we can push more people through our funnel. More people will set appointments, more appointments will close, and we can demonstrate to our customers continued value even if we are starting to see softening in terms of count of inquiries. So just a little bit about Reborn Home Solutions. Reborn Home Solutions is a provider of cabinet refacing and wet area bath remodels. Our corporate office is based in Southern California, but now we do business in 5 states. We recently also just added the Pacific Northwest and Oregon and Washington into our geographic reach. We go to market both through direct efforts, so we are the installer as well as the sales arm in these 5 states. However, we also go to market via a dealer network who offers our manufactured cabinet refacing. We are the exclusive provider of cabinet refacing to Costco warehouses nationwide, and so we also have that in our portfolio. Clearly, we've experienced some rocket ship growth, like many in this room have over the past couple of years. So 244% increase in net sales from 2019 to 2022. And we are charged with continuing on that growth trajectory, continuing to eke out more and more and more value, despite whatever else may be going on in the environment. Reborn's tech stack. Salesforce is our CRM. We use Acton for marketing automation. We use Salesforce tools for digital engagement, texting, Faraday for demographics, Five9 for call center, Fluix for electronic documents. This is a smidge of the technology that we have in our particular stack. We've got tools for data visualization, reporting, social media, planning, spam mitigation, lead integration, deduping. The list goes on and on and on and on as to how many tech tools we either have in our active stack today on the marketing side or are evaluating for continued efficiency within our marketing lead generation tech stack. You can see it's pretty prolific and can start to feel a little bit overwhelming if you're thinking, like, where do I begin with all of this? Where does it even start if I'm trying to think about how to create something in order to optimize and show my customers the journey and the experience that they deserve? So why should you dive in to all of this craziness? Because if it looks like a lot of work, it is. Because all of these technical components contribute to your customer journey. So what your customer sees, hears, and feels about their experience interacting with you can either strike through or underline the customer's belief that they can do business with you. And despite that list of technology tools can look a little bit overwhelming, each of those things is responsible for making sure that ultimately our customer is flowing through our funnel from unnamed prospect seeking information on our website through to paying customer who wrote us a check for the home remodel that they wanted. When this is executed well, we have an improvement in our raw lead to net sale ratio, so more leads making it through the funnel. We have a reduced overall cost of marketing. We optimize our call center expenses, we improve our customer experience, we reduce manual processes, and we can reduce other payroll expense that's associated with completing some of those manual processes. So it's certainly an opportunity when we look at technology in the marketing space. It can also be incredibly daunting to think about, where do I start, or where do I add, or frankly, how do I fix something that I already bought that maybe I actually haven't fully implemented? How many people out there have something on the shelf right now that you bought that you have not fully implemented? I see a few honest people and a bunch of dishonest people. We do too. We do too. So we're going to go through how to avoid that when it comes to customer journey building, how to avoid buying something that ultimately ends up on the shelf that's not contributing to your customer's experience or that you find a lack of fit with when you're thinking about nurturing that customer through their decision-making phase. So if we cut through all of that stuff that we went through in the beginning, at its very basic, what do I need in order to speak to my customer in an automated fashion? What do I need to ensure that I can automate the touch points that they receive at the level it is that they want to receive them? And those basic things are really your CRM, your dialer, your text messaging tool, and your marketing automation platform. And with that, you will have covered, by and large, many of the communication channels that customers are still responding to today. So you'll be able to reach them by phone, by text, and by email. And the integration of those three will ultimately produce what your customer views to be their journey along their buying timeline. 5 steps to automating all of this. We're gonna build the desired end state first, look inward, look outward, we're gonna evaluate, and we're going to evolve. And I'll take you through each of these. But where we start is actually in defining the end state first. And this is where a lot of people can end up with a lot of shelfware, with a lot of stuff we bought that doesn't necessarily meet the full scope of needs. We need to start with our customer. Who is our customer, and what do they want from us? This is glamorous Grandma Gloria. Gloria buys baths from us. She is one of our personas. Reborn uses 5. And Gloria has some specific traits. So she's 76 years old. She's married with 1 adult child. She has a $95,000 comfortable retirement income. She consumes home-related content. So she's interested in DIY shows, home magazines, and she prefers a touch and feel buying experience. Why do we want to understand these things about Gloria? It's important that we want to understand these things about Gloria because we want to understand how to speak to Gloria. We want to speak Gloria's language when we're thinking about creating a customer journey for her. We might know Gloria because she has given us her name, her number, and information about her, or Gloria may be undefined to us. And that means that we need to think about Gloria even before she identifies herself when we're thinking about website messaging, when we're thinking about advertising messaging, when we're thinking about those messages that are ultimately going to reach Gloria. And then we define the cadences that she's going to pass through. And this is critical. These are probably fairly ubiquitous to the home remodeling industry. We use 9 of them. You may subdivide these, or you may think about them more broadly. The point of defining these cadences is so that you understand where is a customer passing through your ultimate customer journey. So from unidentified prospect to new lead, to setting an appointment, to resetting an appointment, confirming an appointment, potentially rehashing, cancel save, post-sale onboarding, installed customer, and age data nurture. At any given point, any lead that comes into our funnel is sitting in one of these key cadences and passing through them. This is an overwhelming amount of text, I understand. I want to call out a few important things that are sitting here for the key cadences. So the important part about defining those key cadences is now that we understand who Gloria is, we understand some key things about her as a customer. We've defined her and we understand why she wants to buy from us. We need to be answering the questions in the customer cadence that Gloria has. So how do we respond to her and to the information that she has, or the information that she needs at any given point in these key cadences? And the reason that we do this is because there is always a natural inclination in marketing to skip right to why I should sell the product to you, right? So you're looking at my website, you should buy my stuff. You are booking an appointment, you should buy my stuff. We're rehashing you, you should still buy my stuff. However, when we go straight to buy my stuff, we ignore that that customer actually has a specific need at a specific point in their journey. And by focusing in on that specific need and that specific point in their journey, we're going to do 2 things. 1, we're going to build better messages. And 2, we're going to better be able to select the technology to underpin how we get that information actually to that customer. Then we're going to map out our detailed customer journey. This is a new lead nurture example. And this is literally just providing what sort of contact do I want to make with Gloria now that she has become a new lead. So she's no longer an unnamed prospect, she's become a new lead, and I want to introduce her to Reborn Home Solutions in the manner in which she wants to hear about us. How do we choose these specific times? We start. We literally start. We know that speed to lead is critical. We know that multi-touch points is critical in the early moments of becoming a lead. How we refine that cadence or set that cadence after there is a full experiment. So how do I know that I should dial that customer again 2 hours later? Until I try it and gather all of the data associated with that touch point, our estimate of when that customer wants to hear about us or hear from us based on everything that we know about Gloria is the best place to start. So this is actually an introductory cadence that we used to map out our new lead handle. It has since evolved, and we'll talk about evolution and how we can look at the data points to determine how to actually move some of these things around. Within these funnels, we are using customized messaging for 2 things. One, we use customized messaging for branded, non-branded, and in our case, manufacturer leads, where they have come to us branded for one of our suppliers. Branded would be somebody who inquired directly on Reborn Home Solutions website. So they already have some level of familiarity with us. We don't necessarily need to be crafting messaging for that person that is just a straight cold introduction. They know who we are. We may have purchased an aggregator lead. If we purchased an aggregator lead, they have no idea who we are. So now we've got a second set of messaging that we want to use in order to define or in order to introduce ourselves. Why should they be talking to us now? Why are we more important than the other vendors that might be calling them at the same time? And then within each of those funnels of communication, we're also customizing for our customer personas. In this case, we are using 5. Gloria is one of those customers. We're able to use our marketing automation platform to create dynamic content for that person based on what might be interesting to them. So Gloria, for example, she's in her golden years. She might be more interested in safety than she is in the convenience of a one-day installation. And so we're going to look at the opportunity for her to provide her with safety-related imagery and content. We also know she's very interested in a touch and feel experience. So we might be altering that dynamic content, again, using our marketing automation system to define for Gloria specific offers attached to her want for a touch and feel experience. Can we bring her into our showroom, for example? Does it make sense for her to come and talk to one of our representatives? So some of that messaging we're able to define individually for those customers. How does that all work? So we are actually doing real-time data append of personas. However, you can also make inferences about your customers in order to create that dynamic content. And you can also simplify some of this, because if you don't have real-time data append in your technology stack, there is always an opportunity to just think about the customer and how they arrived in your funnel. So removing some of the concept of how we're talking to Maura, Gloria, Irene, et cetera, and thinking about how did they come to speak to Reborn? What interested them when they came into my funnel in the first place? These are some sample messages. So these are actually not for Gloria. These are actually for Moira, who is our middle-income mom. These would focus heavily on family-type imagery, convenience-type imagery, beautification of the home-type imagery. So we've defined our end state where we are going to talk to our specific customer. We've defined the cadence that we want to put them through. We've defined the messages that we want them to receive, and we've even defined the branding attached to them. That's our desired end state. This is where we often see, again, that shelfware becomes a problem, is looking inward. And looking inward needs to happen before selecting vendors. So you know what you want for Gloria, but what do you want for your team? Your team may not have the technical ability to execute on some of the fanciest pieces of software out there. Your team may be completely capable of executing on some of the fanciest pieces of software out there. It's critical that you look inward first for what can define success for you and your team. Do you have someone who's done a technical implementation before? Do you have someone with a high degree of attention to detail? Do you have someone with even a natural curiosity of how things work who can dive into a software-related project? Do you have IT support there will come a limitation on your ability as a marketer to dive into some of the finer details of API integration, for example. And do you have an internal champion in the IT team who can help to move the project forward in the event that you reach the end of your skill set in marketing? Do you have the budget? You might be planning for the budget of the software and the licensing, but have you thought about, what if I get in a jam? Have you thought about, I might need to bring in a consultant? Have you thought about, I might need ongoing support? Have you thought about, I might need somebody else on my team to really make a go of this software project? I might not be able to do it myself when I think about the level of detail and intricacy to which I want to create a SMS program, for example, for Gloria. And then finally, how are you defining success? How are you thinking about return on investment? How are you thinking about what measures you are going to evaluate in order to determine that this has been a wild, wild success? Thinking about those things up front and reflecting inward before even starting a technology project can save a lot of the sadness attached to, holy cow, I have this thing that I'm paying for month over month that I don't actually have implemented. Having a clear plan, having a clear goal, and knowing that you may have a contingency plan in order to bring someone else in or in order to understand how you may need to level up or internally train your team can set that appropriate expectation so that when a technology implementation attached to this type of a customer journey doesn't go as planned, nobody's panicking about a 30-day delay in implementation, for example. And then we're gonna look outward, finally. So the best laid plans can be foiled by lack of adequate evaluation of a technical partner. There will always be things that you seek, that you find out after you've gone live. However, seek to minimize these things. There's my shiny red ball. We've all done it. We have all chased a vendor who had the next best thing, the craziest thing. It was going to revolutionize things. It was going to absolutely change my customer journey, my lead generation stack. It was going to make me extraordinarily wealthy. However, when we chase them, we don't necessarily start with looking at our customer and what our customer demands and our team and what our team can manage. So we need to start with a framework. This is a sample framework that we would use to identify a potential or evaluate a potential technology partner. And the framework lays out all of the critical items that underline what is going to make this technology implementation a success. Not every vendor is going to check every box, but if you're doing your due diligence and you're looking for, say, 3 different vendors who can provide a similar type of service, then we can evaluate those vendors on the criteria that's most critical to us. And before we dive into the selling process with them, before they show us their shiny red balls, we want to make sure that we understand what's actually critical to us. What is the definition of success for each of the requirements of our technical vendors? And where are we willing to compromise versus what is non-negotiable? How do you know what's non-negotiable? You know because you defined what your customer needed, and you know because you defined what your team needed in order to be successful. And those things are the things that are non-negotiable. For example, Gloria needs a touch and feel experience. Gloria wants to understand a couple of things. We're largely going to push Gloria through a technical experience, but Gloria wants a touch and feel experience, which means that things like images are going to be deeply critical to her in her evaluation of whether to become a lead, whether to become an appointment, whether to ultimately sit down with us. So one of our non-negotiables when it comes to choosing an SMS vendor is making sure that they have robust MMS capabilities, that we're able to send photos, that Gloria can send us photos back. So that would rate as a non-negotiable in our vendor evaluation when we're thinking about Gloria and how do we make sure we can meet Gloria's needs. I want to call out a few additional things on this sample framework that are critical when we look outward to vendors to truly understand that we're not going to end up with shelfware. Ease of use is enormous. So ease of use is going to help you to drive that change within your team. It's going to help you to want to use a tool on a daily basis. It's going to help to be able to get through the integration and setup if it's just nice to look at and easy to use. Don't underestimate how critical it is that you actually enjoy the look, the feel, the interface of a technology tool, because this is something that your team or you have to live with daily when you're ultimately refining and continuing to evolve your customer journey. Ease of integration, I'll dive into in a second. Ready access to support. Are they there when you are there? Most of us operate 7 days a week. Are your vendors there 7 days a week? Can they answer you on a Saturday about something that has gone wrong within one of your programs and you need to talk to them about it? Do you have that ready access? And if not, what is the access that you need? What are the additional support resources that you need in order to backfill that gap? And ease of reporting cannot be underlined enough, because when you are thinking about ROI, you're thinking, how am I going to figure out that I'm actually meeting that ROI? If the key things that you need to report on daily are not easily reportable within the confines of the solution itself, then you will have a whole other project to extract and visualize data. And that's fine if you're prepared for it. But ideally, the vendor that's coming to the table for you, who's going to be able to execute on one of these core basic tech components, is able to tell you that the software is paying for itself. They're able to show you how things have improved since your implementation. And so ease of reporting is so critical. A note on integration, and I like to call this out because as marketers, we want to think about our customers. We want to spend our time figuring out what's appealing to them. We want to create fancy promotions for them and beautiful messaging, and yet when we dive into this type of a tech journey, where we spend the actual bulk of our time is in all of our systems not talking to each other. We spend the bulk of our time integrating those systems so that to Gloria, it's a completely cohesive journey. In the back end, it might be cobbled together with tape and chewing gum. So this is where we really need to be definitive with our vendors about ease of integration. Each component in our marketing tech stack must talk to the other, generally via the CRM. However, can the tools that you're selecting update all the right fields in the CRM? How often is data pushed and pulled back and forth? If you need to send a real-time text message and your tool only updates once every hour, you have a problem. If you want to send a text message on that your customer selected a blue bathroom and blue is not a field that your vendor can integrate to, then you have a problem. And you'll discover these things when you get into the integration, and you'll spend a grip of time not focusing on the fact that we want to send a really cool promotion to prior people who have chosen blue bathrooms, but that we don't have blue bathroom in our CRM. What are we going to do? How are we going to make it work? And we end up going back to those manual types of items that just ultimately make it more challenging to produce that cohesive experience for our customer. Here's a simple integration. This is Reborn. So at its very basic, we can accept a lead by email, and this would be for a new lead handle. It ends up in our CRM, and simultaneously we're able to trigger both our marketing automation platform, our text message platform, and our dialer to outreach to that customer immediately. If you don't have these tools, there are lots and lots of ways to get started. Here is an extremely simple one that shows no CRM, that shows you can run this off of a Google Doc, and you can add information from a new lead, for example, via Zapier into a Google Doc, send it to Callingly, Textingly, and MailChimp, and you can produce the exact same results as Reborn can produce with its investment in some of those other tools. So it is relatively straightforward to get started using some fairly simple tools to produce this type of a journey for Gloria. We are evaluating on a myriad of different metrics, but these are some of the metrics that you're going to be able to produce with these tools that are going to tell you that you're doing a great job. The connect rate is the effectiveness of your call cadence. Am I calling Gloria at the right time? Am I calling her when she's likely to actually pick up the phone? The set rate would be the effectiveness of your phone messaging. Am I appealing to her when I actually do get to speak to her? Our SMS engagement rate is the effectiveness of our text copy for SMS engagement. Is she answering me back? I'd like her to answer me back. In this case, we are doing two-way communications. You can also do short codes and one-way communications. Email open rate. So are our subject headings resonating with our customer? Our click-through rate is the effectiveness of our offers and content. The marketing contribution is the value add in terms of our post-lead gen communication. So what are we actually able to generate when we introduce all of this stuff? Because ultimately, every dollar I spend on tech, I expect to come back times 10 in terms of additional business that we're actually able to put up on the board. And then customer satisfaction surveys. So how does our customer feel about how we are interacting with them? And how do we capture that information and the improvements associated? Evaluation is so critical when it comes to thinking about your ROI. It's the way that you ultimately get to prove that you did an amazing job selecting this technology vendor and creating this program that adds net dollars to the bottom line. When it is simple and easy and out of the box, you can use it to continue to drive change within the program. When it's challenging and a vendor doesn't have this readily available to you, then it can become a whole other secondary project to try to get at this information. But these are actually the core metrics that we're using, and then our standard KPIs within our business, of course. So, for example, our confirmation queue, we would be evaluating the effectiveness of whether our customers actually confirm their appointments with us. But these are really how we evaluate the communication methods and ensure that we have the data in order to continue to evolve. So you're not done yet. You're probably tired. This is a lot of technology, but you're not done yet. In fact, you are never done. So your customer's changing. We all acutely know that from the past 3 years. I think our customers have never changed more rapidly. Your team is changing. You may be adding and subtracting. You may have additional skills. You may have invested in additional training. Your vendors are changing, so you might be reevaluating, or they might be doing additional software releases that are continuing to refine and upgrade their own tools. And the environment is changing. Warren Buffett is stashing cash under the mattress, and we have to continue to be more and more competitive in an environment where big ticket purchases are getting harder and harder to come by. So when we think about evolution, we really have everything that we need in order to continue to change, because we've defined our customer, we've defined our messaging, we've defined our non-negotiables, and we're actually able now, with the reporting that we have, to think about when our messaging, when our cadence starts to lose steam. So when we see those metrics moving, we're able to think about, okay, I have a message, it used to perform, it no longer performs the same way. Am I continuing to speak the language that my customer wants me to speak, or do I need to think about something else? And this is, again, where your tool can support A/B testing. They can support ongoing and continuous refinement of your dynamic content, of your messaging, of your cadence, of your timing, to ensure that your customer continues to receive that top-tier journey. But you do have to look within those reporting numbers to ensure that you have all of the information that you necessarily need to see as your tech journey either starts to erode or in some cases starts to improve. I want to pause on a note for AI. There is a lot of talk about AI. It is the hot topic, and I've heard some great chats already here today on AI and where it fits into the marketing funnel. A couple of the applications that Reborn has taken a look at and will continue to: content creation, of course. We all have such a giant content burden, whether it's content of email, content of SMS, content of blog posts, etc. Our call cadences. So can we better manage our call cadences? Can we better manage our email cadence? Can the robots provide us information that evolves over time to better manage the timing of those things? Can we do natural language processing and actually engage in conversations that do not involve people? And can they intelligently evolve over time in order to get more effective at engaging those people the way that we want them to? And scripting evolution. So again, can we think about and give AI the opportunity to help us evolve our scripting to better meet our customers' needs based on all of the input that it might be gathering? However, a note on AI, which is: resist the urge to dive into AI tools that optimize a single metric or process. I thought it was really interesting what Danny said from West Shore this morning when he was up here, because he was talking about you do a technology implementation and some departments are winners and some are losers. And the same thing is true in your marketing customer journey. You do a technology implementation or you let AI optimize a specific component of your customer journey. And interestingly, what happens is the other touch points, some are winners and some are losers. So I might have driven a higher connect rate, for example, but did I push down my ultimate set rate? Because now I'm more effective at talking to customers, but I'm less effective at speaking their language. I believe that the best tech tools will be the ones that help us to integrate all of these touch points and ultimately optimize across multiple touch points in the customer journey. Help us think about those as campaigns and as holistic communications with that customer, as opposed to optimizing on one single point of that customer's journey. But now that we've got the data, we have all the information, we're evolving. So here's a few things to think about when it comes to evolving the customer journey that at this point we have built with the right technology vendors, we've evaluated everything properly. How do we continue to evolve it? So data, append, and personas, I mentioned earlier, but we can personify our leads at the point where they hit our system to better understand things about those customers when we want to complete those communications. Yes, we can do it simply, and we can infer their motivations, or we can add additional data into our mix to understand what type of persona that customer may have and make some inferences about what may be critical to them. We can propensity model. So we can look at the propensity of that customer to answer the phone. And this is a lot of what the AI contribution has been that we've had to look at is, looking at, can we propensity model specific components to truly understand more about the customer at any given point in time? So modeling and scoring their propensity to perform a specific action. We can A/B test our communications. So we know how our messages perform, but we continue to evolve, continue to push additional messages, promotions, creative imagery, et cetera, to continue to eke out inches of value in our technology stack. We can increase and decrease our contact cadence. We can ask bots to handle our repeatable tasks. And finally, a note on evolution. Don't sign that auto-renew clause. No vendors are going to buy my drinks tonight now, but don't sign that auto-renew clause. And the reason that I include this is to say your vendors need to show up year over year over year and show you what they're doing to stay ahead of the field. So you are going to evolve, you are going to use all this data, and you are going to continue to drive inches of value within your customer journey. Your vendors need to do the same. So your vendors need to show up and they need to show you what's new. They need to show you what they've done. Because the evolution may include not just setting it and forgetting it, but also evolving your technology stack. So all of the work that you've put into this in this changing environment may involve actually pulling out a core component of your tech stack and replacing it with another one, just based on how your team has evolved, your customer has evolved, and your vendors have evolved. So don't sign that auto-renew clause. Make them show up every time you're due for evaluation and show you what they've done in the past year to continue to evolve their own technology to better meet the needs of your customer in your changing environment.